All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Life in Sound podcast. I'm your host, Kid Capone. Today, I have an amazing guest, the 44th Floor. He's a Los Angeles-based sample maker, producer, and engineer who's worked with Tory Lanez, Trippie Redd, Burna Boy, just to name a few. I'm really excited to have him on the show and just chat for a while about his process. How you doing today, brother?
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Doing well. We're trying to get all the technical stuff for the Zoom recording good.
But we're here now, and it sounds good.
We're here now.
Good
Thank
stuff,
you.
man.
Appreciate it.
I'll start off with some of the easier questions, and then we'll move into some of the technical stuff later on in the interview.
Okay, cool.
Where did you get your name as an artist and as a brand?
The 44th Floor it's like a moniker from another moniker. I used to go by 44 because my initials is DD, and D is the fourth letter of the alphabet. So I kind of put that together and just was using that. But I felt like it was just kind of too broad to go by. So the 44th Floor came from a Nipsey Hussle and Party Next Door song, because I used to be obsessed with them back in like 2016. I was super obsessed with like Nipsey Hussle and PND, and they have a song together. It's called Candy, and one of the lyrics in the song is I think it's Nipsey that says it. He says something about the 55th floor, and I was like, that's so dope. So I just kind of added like my little twist on it and just go by, and now I go by the 44th floor. But like in like a room, a session, people aren't calling me the 44th floor. They're just calling me, like 44.
I love that. No, that's really creative, and I love when somebody gets their brand name or something from something that means a lot to them. It's not just always a random thing,
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of your future plans for yourself and your brand right now?
Future plans for myself and my brand right now. Well, I'm starting to release kits again. One of my main goals this year is to focus on really developing like unique and out the box kits as far as like one shots and banks and loops and stuff like that. So last year I had like a little bit of success with it, and this year I want to focus on that more, and also this year I want to focus on building out like a legit studio. So I'm kind of like figuring out how I could do that as far as like getting loans or seeing if I could get some investors involved. So I'm still laying out the blueprint for that as well. But this year, I'm going stupid. Like I'm like doing ton of loops. I'm like going crazy. It's just like a new mental workflow that I have. Like my work rhythm is like different this year. Like I'm super inspired this year. Like I just had a kid, so that definitely put like the battery in my back to actually just go out there and get it.
I love that, man. Yeah, I just saw you released your Circles one-shot kit not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process kind of like for making that?
So the process for my one-shot kits, it varies. Like it literally varies. Like sometimes there'll be a voice note that I'll send to FL, and then I'll fuck it up, and then I'll just tune it to C. And then it sounds cool. Sometimes it's from like a vintage synth, because like a lot of people know that I'm like obsessed with like vintage synths and like hardware and stuff like that. So sometimes it comes from that. Sometimes it's running, things through like effect pedals. It just varies. There's no rule of thumb by it. It just whatever sounds cool. Like last night I had a bottle and I was just like hitting the bottle like rhythmically, and I just recorded a voice note, and then I just sent it to FL, and then I made like a cool like little perk loop.
That's awesome.
Things. Yeah, it just varies. It's just like whatever feels right, and like whenever you're like when the inspiration strikes, like you never know when it's gonna be. Like I was literally laying on my bed, just like hitting the bottle, and then I was like, this sounds fire. Like this will be a dope ass perk loop, and then I just turned it into a perk loop.
Definitely. Like, I love that you just capture inspiration the moment it happens. That's why I feel like voice memos on your phone, especially, are so good for that. Like, myself, I've gone out and about. There's like an abandoned hotel by my house, and I went in there, and there's like this big stairwell. And so I went in there with my friends, and we had like a bunch of different instruments, even like some like wrenches and like ratchets and chains, and we were kind of like making these percussive loops and these like it was like an echo chamber naturally, and I was just using the natural reverb from there. And it just like I had walked by it with my dog all the time, and I was like, this would be a crazy place to record. I wonder what's inside. And I just went in and created all these textures and shit on my phone, and I use them in my production regularly.
That's so fire.
Yeah,
That's
man.
yeah, that's like the best shit to like to me when you're actually like creating shit from like really from scratch. You know, like
100%.
it's fun, and like I love to nerd out on like sounds like that. It's like now it's like I find that I'm almost more obsessed with sounds than actual like the music.
Yeah, no, I
It's
agree
it's
100%.
crazy.
Because it's like when you have these raw recordings and these raw sounds, like they aren't music yet. And so you have to find a way to like transfer them into the medium and create something musical out of this thing that no one has or nobody's maybe used as an instrument before.
Yeah, facts.
No, I love that 100%, man. Uh, how did you get the chance to record your in color one shot kit at the Vintage Synth Museum in Oakland?
So they actually moved to Highland Park. It's in Highland Park is like what would you call it? It's like a outskirt in Los Angeles, or it's like a city in Los Angeles, or city outside of Los Angeles. They moved this year. So basically, yeah, the guy who owns it, Lance, I've been going to the Vintage Synth Museum since 2020, I think. Yeah, during the pandemic, because it used to be in Oakland, and I'm from Northern California, so I was just looking up like studios with synths, or studios with like vintage synths, and that came up, and I was like, holy shit, like this is heaven.
Yeah, man.
You know, for guys like me, this is heaven. So I first went there and I was blown away, and I don't even think I recorded anything when I first went there. I was just like just playing with all the synths that they had. It was like being a kid in a toy store for me.
Yeah.
And then for circles, I went back to the one in Highland Park because you know, like I said, they recently moved, and we just recorded a lot of different weird stuff in there, and then I processed all that through in an FL. Like usually, all like it's never the raw file. If I'm doing like one shots like that, it sometimes can be, but most of the time it's like I process it like in different ways.
Nice.
But it's fun, dude. It's so fun, like to actually like sit there and go through all the presets and all the patches on these things and make like weird patches. Because half the time I don't even know what the hell I'm doing, to be honest. It's like I'm just like, especially on like things like these old vintage pieces that's has so many knobs. I'm like, this is insane. So I'll just like tinker around, and whatever sounds good is good.
Yeah, just like trial and error, and then just using your own personal taste to like see what sticks or really jumps out at you, and then running with that inspiration.
100%. And I think that's been my like my whole thing, like with producing or engineering or like sound design. And just like, you know, I'm not a trained instrumentalist. I'm not a trained engineer. I didn't go to school for it. It's just like I just was like, this is cool. I want to try it. Let me see. Let me press a few buttons, move a few knobs, and it's like, and I'll kind of get the gist of it and like work from there.
Yeah, you're just going with your intuition and your own natural ear for sound.
For sure.
I love that. Are you currently living off your music? And if you are, how did that transition sort of happen?
Yeah, I was engineering. That's how I kind of got into transition. That's how I transitioned from like a 9 to 5 into like the industry was engineering. That's like one of the first times that I was actually getting like checks coming in. And like I definitely, like if you're a producer or a sample maker or someone who wants to be in studios and like get your name out there and like you don't really know how to, I would say engineering is a really really great tool because it'll put you in the rooms. And that's how I got a lot of um that's that's how I got a lot of the placements that I have. And that's how I got, to work with people like, like Tory Lanez or like Burna Boy or Trippie Redd or Smoke Purp. It's because, I was engineering, and, they found out that I was producing after they trusted, my ear and the way that they sounded. So it's like, that's a, that's a gem in itself, is like, cause who doesn't make beats these days?
It's true.
Everyone is making beats and everyone wants a way in. And it's like, in engineering is a way in. The work is, it sucks and it's hard and it could be frustrating at times because artists could be hot and cold.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you focus on like the end goal and just understand that this is a stepping stone, you will definitely go far. I mean, it worked for me. But so engineering, I was an engineer for a few years before I actually was producing. I was always producing, but before I had any like any solidified person get on one of my beats or my productions. I was engineering for the X Factor for a few years, and then I was also engineering for America's Got Talent for a few years, and then that led me to them flying me out to the UK to work for the X Factor in the UK. The X Factor is a singing show. If you guys don't know, it's with Simon Cowell.
Nice.
So I was engineering in London. I think I did one season out there or something, and then that actually led me one of the I don't even know his job title, but he worked on X Factor, and he was from Amsterdam, and he owned a publishing company out in Amsterdam as well. So he knew I made beats, but he didn't know like he just thought I was just a beat maker, whatever.
Yeah. He didn't know the extent of your creative talent.
Exactly. So one day I was like playing in beats, and he's like, yeah, this is dope, and at that time I was like just willing to work with who would give me a listen,
100%.
So he still does own a publishing company with his brother, and he was like, I want you to work with some of my acts out there. I was like, okay, cool. So he flies me out to Amsterdam, and then I was working with one of his artists. He like got us a Airbnb and stuff. So I flew out to Amsterdam, and then we were working, and then I don't know how many songs we did, but we did about 10 songs in like a week or something. And he was blown away by the song. So he was like, do you have a pub deal? And I was like, I don't even know what the hell that is. Like,
Yeah.
and he was like, and he kind of broke it down for me. He was like, like if like you get a publishing deal out here in Amsterdam, you could work with more artists out here, and they'll collect your money, and they'll set you up in sessions. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was just in engineering, and kind of didn't really understand the game as much. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this amount of money at one time. I was like, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, I was like, sign me up. I've never had this amount of money in my life. I was like, fuck yeah. So I went ahead and did a publishing deal out in Amsterdam in 2019. I think, yeah, 2019. And then I was working with more of his artists out there, and I got placements out there, and it was great. I got to work with a lot of the Amsterdam rap scene, a lot of the artists in the Amsterdam rap scene and in the R&B scene, which is really cool because it's like I said, I didn't get to work. I never worked with anybody to that. I was just like in real studios. Like it was great. It was a great experience for me. So then X Factor had ended. That little chapter had ended. So I was like, okay, cool. I want to come to LA. I have money now. I have a little bit of a following. I have a little bit of more contacts. I was like, this is cool. So I came back to LA, and then 2020, and then that was in December. It was either in December or January of 2019. Then in March 2020 is when the pandemic hit.
Yep.
So I had a lot of plans, a lot of ideas of things to do, and then boom, all the studios were shut down. No one was working. No one was doing. They were just. So I was like, fuck. I was like, I gotta find another way. It's kind of like a roadblock. So I was like, fuck, I gotta find another way. And then that's when I got into sample making. Was in 2020.
Man, I love that. That's like a meteoric rise for you, like as far as just, transitioning to something new. Like, you adapted really quickly and you're like, let me figure out this new medium. And I love that it's working out for you because that means you must have like a real passion and like a real natural gift for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like I've always like looked up to dudes like Frank Dukes and a Coop the Truth. Why are you laughing, you asshole? Jake's over here just smiling at me.
Just
so
cheesing.
yeah, he's just like. So so those guys really like. I'm like, how the fuck do these dudes make these sounds? That's the first thing I like ask myself. And I'm like, I want to do this shit. And like at the time I was still obsessed with like old school synth and like gear. I've always had a passion for like hardware and like real tangible things. Like, like of course I use like VSTs and shit like that. Like of course. But I've always had a passion for like hardware and vintage synthesizers. I'm not good at, I don't understand them fully, but I'm like, they're just art in itself. Just looking at a fucking a mini Moog is like, this is an art piece.
I agree.
This is fucking beautiful. Like I want to have my house filled with vintage synths. Like they may not be turned on, but it's like having like a like a Basquiat painting.
Yep, it's an aesthetic in and of itself.
It's an aesthetic. So I was like, 2020 hit, pandemic hit. I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna do now? It's like my money's running out. There's no sessions. I can't engineer on the side. I can't do. I was like, I'm gonna try this sample thing out. And prior to that, I was kind of doing samples, but I wasn't really like as in depth with it as I am now. I was kind of like tinkering around with them, but I was more of just sending out full production beats with drums and stuff. So I just dove right in, and like I'm very obsessive, so I was like on Reddit, on Google, seeing what these guys are using, how they process their sound. And it was like kind of a trial and error thing, because it's like the first batch I did, they weren't good, and I was like had RC20 on fucking 100%, and it's like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, you just got to figure it out, and try stuff, trial and error.
You just got to figure it out, and it just kind of progressed, and I started getting like a little bit more noticed. And then I released a one-shot kit, I think in the summer of 2020, and that shit went crazy. My first one-shot kit.
Yeah, the volume one, right?
Yeah, the volume one. That shit went crazy. I got a lot of good feedback, and then people were like, "You should do a Kingsway pack." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know anyone at Kingsway. That's fucking. I mean, I know Frank Dukes, but yeah. I don't know him.
Yeah, not like I don't call the guy.
Yeah, I'm not like on Zoom with him. Like, hey, what's up, Dukes?
Yeah.
So Jake actually, Hey, he put me in contact with the people at Kingsway. Shout out to Josh. We just seen Josh too. Yeah. Josh is great.
He's the man.
Josh is the man. So I did a Kingsway pack, and then yeah, from there it's like, okay, I want to focus on this because it's like I'm getting a lot of great feedback from it, like more than what I was in sessions and producing, because it's like I felt just like a number. When I was
Yeah.
in sessions, and it's like I was like chasing, like in the rat race, trying to get like I was doing like, it's just like I'm like doing it's like I'm in the room with A, B, and C to try to get to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And didn't really make sense for me at the time. It's because it's like this is what everyone's telling me to do. It's like you got to go to sessions, you got to do this, you got to link with this person. They know this person, they're best friends with The Weeknd, and they know his management. And it's like that's great, but it's like I don't want to be a part of that rat race anymore. I feel like it's just training, and it's just like it's soulless a little bit for me.
Yeah, it's like, at a certain point, it almost just feels like you're just a piece of a machine. You're just like, they don't care the value of you as a human. It's just, can you make me dollars? Is your
100%.
is your work just here to get The Weeknd his next number one hit so we can sustain this dying music label that people, more and more every day are becoming independent and realizing you can do everything yourself from your bedroom or just paying to go to a studio and work yourself. And I think it's really cool that you listen to that natural calling inside of you to just follow your joy. And it's like the feedback from the world was confirming it.
For sure. And like I get it with the labels. It's like their business.
100%.
Like they're it's not like, oh, you're so artistic, like I love it.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, how much can you make us? Who do you know? Who are you managed by? It's a give and take. So I understand the business, and it's like that's cool if you want to do that. But it's like I'm running a different type of business now. It's like I'm not like chasing a plaque anymore. I'm not chasing a number one hit, because it's like I feel like it's a forever chase if you're in that chase. From my experience, maybe some people have, great success with it, but for my experiences, I felt it was draining and soulless for me. But I don't know. I feel like the path I'm on now is just like, does it like what's the outcome of it? It's like what's the outcome of it? It's like I don't necessarily need to do things for money now. It's like I made good investments over the last few years, where it's like I can chill if I want to. But now my mentality is like, how does this bring how does the 44th floor name fit on this?
Yeah.
Does it look good on this?
I love that,
That
man.
like that's my mentality now, and it's like I don't care about like these placements or like these things, because it's like I said, it's a chase.
Yeah.
It's like I want to do what feels right, what feels good, what's good for me, and like what's good for my team and stuff. And by team, I mean Jake.
You just kind of like let go, and instead of chasing it, you're just letting things come to you.
Yeah, for sure. Like how Shakespeare said, like if you love something, set it free, and if it comes back,
100%.
it's meant to be.
Well said. Perfectly well said. How did you know when you were ready to release your first pack?
Sample pack or once,
or either one.
how do I know? Well, I never released one until the Kingsway stuff.
Okay.
So that I got help from Josh. Josh is he pretty much runs Kingsway along with Dukes. He's like Dukes like right hand man. So I sent like 20 samples, and then he kind of narrowed it down to like 10. He's like, these are great. Josh wants you to be experimental as hell.
I love that.
He's like, don't do anything that Frank Dukes is doing. Don't do anything that Coop the Truth is doing. Don't do anything that T.Y. Jake is doing. He's like, do something that's completely off the wall, and then we could like do something so left, and we could circle it back in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. And like back then I was just like imitating Frank Dukes and Coop the Truth. Like
I feel like that's like a early, like, I mean, any sample maker, when they go to make samples, at least when they're starting out, I feel like it's like, that's kind of like the top of sample making. So they try to emulate that. And my friends and I talk about this all the time, but sometimes it's like really disheartening when you're just hearing people try to be carbon copies of Frank Dukes, you know? Because it's like, you know, if somebody wants Frank Dukes, they're going to go to the source. They're not going to go for like a knockoff or like a 99-cent store version of it.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's exactly what Josh had said. He was like, don't do Dukes. He's like, I have Dukes.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, cool. So we kind of I kind of had to like fall back and like dive into like a creative space in my head. And yeah, Josh kind of just helped me out with, he pretty much curated it.
Nice.
It was like, this is dope. This is kind of Frank Dukes-esque. I don't want that. This is kind of whack. This is cool. And so Josh curated the whole pack for me pretty much. I just was just creating. I was like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it was sending him stuff, you know, frequently. So that kind of like geared me into like, okay, now I could kind of start doing this more often. And like, you know, because he's the OG, man. He's like worked with Frank Dukes for years. And then what's the guy he's worked with? Doc McKinney.
Oh yeah, man. Fucking The Weeknd's trilogy, you know, the first House of Balloons, Thursday Echoes of Silence. Doc McKinney has made one of, I feel like House of Balloons is a masterpiece. That's one of those albums
for sure.
That's in my top 10 forever.
For sure.
How do you stay inspired musically and creatively?
By doing it's like, I feel like staying inspired is just like getting to do what I love every single day and being grateful.
Yes. Gratuity.
I feel like
everything.
I feel like once you're ungrateful, that's when you have like roadblocks.
100%, man. I can agree with that.
And it's like, if you think you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, like having a road, or not a roadblock, what's it called? Like a mental, not a mental block. What's it called, Jake? Like a creative block? Writer's block. Yeah. Okay. So having like a writer's block, it's like, in my opinion and like my perspective on it is just like, cause you think you're supposed to be doing a certain thing.
Yes.
But if you just fucking create, you're not going to have any fucking roadblocks. And who cares if it's ass?
Yeah, man.
At least it's all repetition. Like it's all the gym.
Yeah. It's just create without expectations.
Create without expectations. If like you go to the gym and like at least get a fucking sweat in, you did good for yourself. And if you sit in front of your computer and did a loop and it sounds ass, who gives a fuck? If you just have the discipline to sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna get through this. Like I think that's what people get. Like I think that's a misconception is like writer's block, because it's like I never have it. Yeah, maybe half the samples I make that week are shit, but it's like at least I had like, you know, like the discipline to actually sit there and push through it. And you know, who knows, because maybe someone might like that sample.
It's so true, man. Like, and I've even had moments where I'm making a sample and maybe I'll get, you know, 3 layers in. Like I'll put together, like, it's like, oh, I recorded this ukulele, then I recorded like some bongos, and then maybe like a slide guitar or something over it. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling this. Like, what can I do? And I'll just bounce that all 3 stems together into one. And then in Ableton, I'll just start pitching it up and down, because it kind of has like how a record player is, you know, when you speed it up, the pitch goes up, when you slow it down, pitch goes down. In Ableton, I'll just like bounce it and then pitch it up or down, and then maybe I'll be like, oh shit, like I'm at this new tempo and it sounds completely different than that first thing I started with. Let me build upon this new idea. So you can even take that like ass idea or something you didn't think was going to be great, and then find a way to re-inspire yourself and make something that you're like, I'm totally happy now.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, like if you flip your own shit, you'd be like, oh, this is fire. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Like you go from like doubting yourself to like, I'm the worst producer ever, to like, I'm a fucking god.
Exactly.
People owe me everything.
I've definitely had
in
that
seconds.
moment.
Yeah,
I've had those moments plenty of times. What are some unorthodox ways you've made music before?
My iPhone, just like voice notes. That's a good question, but I'm stuck. I think it's just my iPhone.
Yeah, like you were telling me a little
Just
bit about like what was something you were working on recently? You recorded like a bottle, right?
yeah, I was just laying in bed, and then I was just like, I had a bottle, and then I was just like tapping it, and I'm like, this is dope, and I just pulled out my iPhone and I recorded it, and then I uploaded it to a FL, and I made like a perk loop with it. I was like, this is fire. I should be doing this more.
See, inspiration even when you're laying in bed and you turned it into music, which will, you just followed your natural intuition and joy, and that could probably turn into the next like sample perk loop that we hear in the next pack.
Facts.
So that's some sauce right there. Is just, don't be afraid to like, find music in places where you don't think music is.
Yeah, like get weird. I went to a yard sale, and then I bought like a bunch of kids toys, and I was like, half of those sounds are in my Kingsway pack. Like there's like a little kid flute, and then some like string thing and some bell thing. It's like I just recorded all that stuff on my phone and just like processed it, and then and ran it through some pedals and just see what I got. It's all about just like experimenting,
I agree 100%, man. How did you get your first placement kind of thing? Or do you have any placements that maybe if they aren't out yet, I'm not too sure about that.
My first placement, I gotta look in my catalog, see what's, the first placements I got were in Amsterdam.
Okay.
So that was going back to me being involved in the whole Amsterdam situation, when I was like working with these rappers and stuff, and being in the studio, and then getting the publishing deal. They were putting me in rooms and stuff. So that's how I got the first of those. And then when I was working with like Burna Boy and Smoke Perp and stuff, that was just me pulling up to be an engineer.
Yeah, you pulled up for one thing, and then it kind of translated into something else.
Yeah, like I pulled up, I was pulling up to a session for Steph London. I think that's how you say her name.
Yep.
And I was going to be her engineer, and Burna Boy was there. Mind you, this is before he took off.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he still had a huge following overseas, but it's like in America, like no one was really on Afrobeat yet.
Mm-mm.
So he was there, and then she sent me beats from another producer, and he was kind of in the cut, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know who he was this time. I thought it was just her boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
So she was playing me, or she had sent me beats to play so I could engineer her. So I was playing her beats, and then she went and like she was finding some beats or some more beats to send because she didn't like the ones. So me being like, I'm gonna try to get some shit on here. Fuck this.
Yeah, I'm in the room.
And exactly. Like I'm in the room. So mind you, I had put in a folder of beats together. Like I wanted to be like well prepared for this.
I love that.
So I had put in a folder of beats, and I just hit play. I was like, fuck it. Like, and then it was like it wasn't Afrobeat. It wasn't dance hall. It was nothing of that realm. It was a R&B beat I played. I was like, fuck it. Let me just play this. She was fire, by the way.
I love that.
I still don't know how I made that beat. That beat was insane, bro.
Man, I'm excited. If I could hear it, I would love to hear it at some time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So I played that beat, and then Burna Boy, which is, in my point of view, I didn't know who the hell he was at the time. He like gets up, and he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "This is a beat." He was like, "Turn on the mic."
Yes.
I was like, wait. I was like, hold up, because mind you, I didn't know him. I was like, hold up, this is for Steph, bro. Like, I don't know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I didn't say that. I was thinking that in my mind.
Yeah.
He was like, turn on the mic. So I was like, okay, I'll bet. So I dumped the beat in, and then he was recording some shit, and then he slid on that shit.
That's what's up,
Je-
bro.
Jeg knows.
I heard it.
Yeah, the Burna Boy
Oh, maybe.
with the Steph.
I don't know if I heard it.
I played it for you.
I'm liking.
I'm lying about this whole situation.
You're right. It's made up.
Jake makes all my samples and my one shots. He signed to me.
You heard it here first.
No, yeah. So he was recording. He recorded to that, and different artists have different like methods of recording, and I was there all night recording him, and then Steph heard his verse. She's like, "Oh, I want to hop on this." So I was like, "Okay, bet." Like Steph and Burna Boy. Now I'm like Steph and Burna Boy. I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking millionaire.
Yes. I love that, man.
And so Steph hopped on it. She slid on it. She was fire. And then that's actually the first song that they've ever recorded together.
Man.
I don't know if they're still dating or I don't know, but it's just like the song may never come out. It's like a year and a half old, maybe 2 years old, but it's just like the memory is just insane. And then after when I came home, she had tagged me in something with him. So I was like, let me see who this guy is. So I was like 2.5 million followers on
Let's
IG.
go.
I was like, who? I was like, so this guy must be a big deal.
Yeah.
And then a few months after the Afrobeat wave hit America,
Oh, yeah.
and then the Burna Boy wave hit America, I was like, I worked with this guy. They're like, no, you didn't. I was like, I worked with this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll play. I'll play the song we have.
Hell yeah. And I love that. Like just that whole story of just being prepared for an opportunity and then just taking a risk. Like whether or not they wanted to go on any of your songs or they wanted to go on all of them, just you being prepared for that moment and then look where it led for you, you know?
Yeah, and if like someone gets mad at you, like this is advice for like engineers who are producing or like want to pull the same little card that I pulled. If they get mad at you for playing your beats, just be like, "Oh, I just made this beat today. I just wanted to see how it sounded on the speakers."
Yep. Just testing the mix.
They're not gonna throw you out. Like you're the engineer. Like they need you.
Exactly. You're a vital piece for them recording that day.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your daily habits sort of like? Like kind of like when do you wake up? When do you go to bed? What's your daily routine?
I try to wake up earlier, like 7, 8, and then I've actually been going on runs and working out a lot more. I wanna implement that in like my like daily like routine because I get like like when I run I get a high from it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's so fire.
Runner's high is definitely a real thing.
Runner's high is so fire. I love it. It's like my new shit. Like, oh, so what have you been doing? I've just been getting like it's runner's high, man.
Yeah, man. It just gets me elevated.
Dude, it's so fire. So yeah, I'll try to wake up early, like 7 or 8, and then go for a run. Then hang out with the baby and do all that, and then I'll focus on music at least like 5 hours a day at least. Try to just knock it up. Whether I'm like making samples or doing emails or sending out emails or sending out packs or doing kits. I try to like at least 5 hours like a day minimum. But then also I've.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was my fault.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I've also found a balance too.
That's super important.
You know, not to work every single day or every single time. Like it's good to take time off and just like hang out.
I agree 100%. Like when you're making your samples and like kind of doing your weekly flow, about how many samples do you finish a week, or like, you know, how many kind of packs maybe, whether that's one shots or sample packs, do you kind of finish a month, do you think?
So I've like written down like everything that I need to be doing, and it's like I hold myself accountable to it now. It's like I'm doing one pack / bank / kit a month that I'll be releasing. So my next bank, is going to be a analog lab bank, and it's going to be released in February this month. So I'll hold myself accountable to that. And then also I'll hold myself accountable to at least 6 samples a week.
I love that.
And then the emails and stuff and phone calls, that's a whole different thing. It's like, that's like things that it's like, it's almost just, it's well, it is just important as making samples, because it's like, you gotta know how to connect from A to B. You know how to, okay, this is done. Now, how could I distribute this? Where's this going? How could I market this? How could I have people, enjoy this and understand this?
Yeah, the back end networking is just as important as the creativity of and the action of sample making itself.
For sure.
From the time you wake up and after you go to the gym, like usually how long before you start working? Do you kind of wait like till around like lunchtime kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it just varies, because with the baby, we're like doing like a sleep training with him right now, so it kind of varies at this point in time. But yeah, like usually, 1 noon, maybe 2.
And then work till like 6 or 7 kind of thing until dinner?
I can't hear you.
Oh, really? Oh,
Okay, yeah, you're good now.
my bad. Usually around 1 or 2, and then you work till like 6 or 7, like around dinner time?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it varies. Like sometimes I'll start later, and then I'll end later.
Okay.
Or like like if I gotta take the baby to a checkup, that's at 2:00. Then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm working till 10 tonight.
Nice. Do you ever like smoke or drink alcohol or coffee or anything before you go and create?
No, I used to smoke a little bit. I don't drink. I don't drink coffee. I drink a little bit of tea, but I stopped all that. It's just all bad. I don't fuck with none of that shit no more.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's the 9th now, so I'm 35 days like super sober is what my friends and I call it, where it's
No coffee?
no coffee, no weed, no alcohol, no pills of any kind, like even taking a step farther, doing no FAP, and then also like eating plant-based as much as I can, like just really trying to Tom Brady, he has a book called the TB12 method, where he basically just talks about how he's been able to play in the NFL for, 22 seasons or whatever. And I love how with him, when it's like season and like he needs to be in practice, he really has this strict routine and habits and diet. But then he makes time for like, once they win a Super Bowl, he parties for a week or whatever, but then he gets right back to it.
He's getting fucked up.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you saw him after when they won the Super Bowl like a year ago or whatever, like man was being carried out by Gronk from the restaurants they were in because he was so hammered.
Go.
Yeah, man. And sucks he retired, but the values he's given me as far as like good routine, good habits, and like really just putting in that effort, that's what's going to give you longevity, not getting caught up in partying and the drugs and all that, because that'll age you quick, that'll burn you out quick, and I don't feel like that'll, the impairment doesn't make you as successful as you could be when you're clean.
Yeah, I mean, like look at all of these rappers, dude. They're here today, gone tomorrow, is because they're like their influences. What's like their influences are just all like negative.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the rappers who are here for a long time, like look at Jay-Z, he's not popping at least I don't know, but from what I see, it seems like he seems like a pretty, strict guy.
Yeah.
Strict like with his like his dieting and his schedule and stuff. So, that's an example,
I mean, there's no coincidence that his good habits, it's like he's one of the most successful businessmen, not just in hip hop, but just successful businessmen in general. He is married to one of the biggest pop stars of our generation.
The baddest baddie ever.
Has a beautiful family, like still dropping projects that are still getting streamed and we still love. And it's like, that's just a testament to good habits.
Yeah, he's like done it all. He's like made clothes, had a label, still has a label,
yeah.
Signed artist.
I mean, he gave us Rihanna.
He birthed Rihanna.
You know what I mean? What is the rhythm of your creative process like? Are you like always working on something new?
Um, yeah, it's just, it kind of varies. Like, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know. It's just like whatever is in front of me at the time. Like whatever task at hand is like, okay, this is what I'm focusing on. And that varies like by the day, by the hour, by the week. But yeah, I just kind of like to stay busy with things and like, like me and Jake were talking about. I like how I turn around it each time I say his name just to make sure
He's still there.
he's just make sure he's sitting down so like a good signee he is. Yeah, we were talking about like doing like circuit bends on like old fucking where's the little the Casio I have in that, that too. That's cool. Yeah, we're like I got this out of the yard sale for $5. This Casio, and we're like, okay, like let's like, what else do we like to do besides music, Jake? Like it can't just me and him be making loops in his room for fucking 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
sweating.
Yeah.
So we're gonna he did like a
the tape recorder.
A circuit. What,
I put a potentiometer on it.
you want to come and say hi to the people?
Guest appearance?
Bring Jake on here. Yeah.
So we want to know what you did to this.
Okay, I'll tell you what I did to this.
What'd you do, Jake?
So it's an old. I can't hear anything because of the headphones, but it's an old cassette player, and basically I put a 1K ohms potentiometer in between the motor and the. This is for anyone if they want to try to do it. In between the motor and the power source. I don't know if I'm loud enough in the mic here.
Yeah.
But yeah, in between the motor and the power source, and then I have this gives me control like to so I can slow down the speed. I can, speed up and slow down the tape heads here. So yeah, just this messes with the speed of the how fast the tape goes by the tape heads, and I can slow down and mess with the pitch and stuff and record right in here using the inputs, and yeah.
I love that. That's a creative way to approach, making music and like recording itself, because the tape has its own character. And by you controlling the speed of the motors, you really can alter the pitch. I don't know if you guys ever like take a cassette tape apart, but then you can make like a little short tape loop. And like I've seen, I'll send you the page. There's a guy named Full D Makes, and he makes those and sells them. And
I think I've seen his page. He's a goat.
So sick, bro. And then like, again, it's just keeping music fun. Like, like you play music, so you got to like play around and have fun and enjoy yourself. Otherwise, like, why are you doing it? Like, why are you doing something that you hate?
Mm-hmm. And like, this all's under the umbrella of like sound of music production.
Yeah.
It's the umbrella of music production. Then there's sample making, sound design, building shit, just like how Jake did. Like, it's like you find passions, like sub-genre passions under this umbrella.
Yeah.
It's fun, man.
I mean, that's like for me, like I got my laptop in 2011 because I wanted to learn to produce EDM like Skrillex. And that was the whole reason I even started producing. And then years go by and tastes change and things like that. And I ended up linking with artists. And then I had to learn how to like be a recording engineer. Then we wanted our songs mixed and mastered. So I was like, we tried outsourcing it one time and the engineer wasn't that great. And so I was like, well, fuck, I got to do it myself now. And I learned how to like mix and master through getting a mix with the masters. And I like learned from Jason Joshua, like who's like the GOAT engineer in my opinion.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so I like learned from that and then went to sample making and, just tastes change and you grow in different ways. And like now I'm having a podcast interviewing sample makers because of the umbrella of music that I found myself in that small niche.
Go. Appreciate you for this.
Oh, bro, like, I don't know. It's just, I believe in the community so much and I just want everybody to win. And I want to show the world like these people are valuable, more valuable than sometimes like than the artist machine that they listen to. It's like, these are the guys creating the future of sound. We're taking old techniques and new techniques with our taste of like liking old records, but liking to be progressive and new. And it's all this like melting pot of where I see music going in the future.
Yeah, shit's exciting, man. Like I'm excited for like what the future holds as far as like I said, finding like work flows and like the rhythms.
Yeah.
Cause then it opens up new not just opportunity doors, but like doors in your mind.
Agreed. 100%.
Crazy.
Like just following your joy and following your inspiration and just seeing where it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your signature sound if you had to define it?
I think that varies like every it varies a lot. Like it's just like it just varies by like my mood, I guess. Like sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's bright, sometimes it's sometimes I paint with this color, sometimes I paint with this color.
Yeah, it's just whatever
it varies.
Whatever you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll move on to my For the Nerds section. This is where we'll get kind of into some of the more technical stuff.
Let's go.
Let's go. What are some of your most regularly used plugins?
Shaper Box, Iris. What else do I use? Effect Rack by Sound Toys. That's a really
one of
good
my
one.
favorite. I use that in every sample.
Yeah, shit's crazy.
Definitely.
Gross Beat still a little bit. I still fuck around with Gross Beat.
I mean, it's valuable and it's good, especially if you know how to use it. I saw you have a Gross Beat like bank, or what would you say, a preset bank for Gross Beat?
Yeah. It's free too. So if you guys want to download it, link below or link it right here.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah. So Gross Beat, Analog Lab, cassette. Cassette's really cool. It's a better RC20, which I'm sure people know about already. Yeah, and then just like, there's I use it's a Waves plugin. It's Sound Shifter I use, but it's the one for the format shifting. I think it's called Ultra Pitch by Waves. It's a format shifter which I use on vocals a lot, and it just pitches the format. I don't like, if you guys want to know about format, you could look on YouTube, because it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it makes it pitch.
It sounds like it's pitched down. It keeps the original pitch, but the timbre of it sounds like it's pitched down or pitch up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I said, see, it's like I don't like, I'm like, technically I don't really know that. I just fuck around with shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just your taste, man, and you have a good ear for sound, and you know what you like, or like, you find something cool and you're like, I may not know what I did, but I know it sounds good.
Yeah, it's like I fuck around with it until it sounds dope. I'm like, okay, and then I kind of, from there I reverse engineer.
Smart. What are your most regularly used instruments or pieces of gear that you have?
Well, I have a Rhodes, but it's at a studio that I never go to, which I should go to more. And then I have a ASR 10. It's a sampler that Kanye uses, and Alchemist, and a bunch of other dope dudes use. It's a sampler, and it really fucks up your samples. Like, it's like so grimy. And what else do I use? I have a Casio SK1 similar to the one I showed you, and that's a sampler. So I'll like sample like little things into it, and it's only like, it's crazy. It's only like 2 seconds of sample time. So you got to be like quick with it.
Yeah.
So I sample, but that thing is so freaking crazy and dirty. It's only like, I'm sure you could find one on Craigslist or at a yard sale even for like $100 maybe. Like, they're going up in value now because people are finding out about them. But
Yeah.
the Casio SK1, I'm telling you, is one of the greatest samplers ever. Like, if you sample into one shot, it'll play, and it sounds so great. I don't know what the hell what they did with that shit.
I love that, man. Thank you for sharing that. Like, I'm sure,
For sure.
like, you're gonna spike some sales from that right there.
for sure. And I found out about it from G Coop. He uses that one a lot.
What are some of the essential elements that you gravitate towards when you're making a sample? Kind of like
Textures.
instruments. Yeah.
Textures, and bounce, and like pockets. Like if there's like pockets for drums to like just go crazy. If there's like textures like that you can't recreate, or like, and then if it has a bounce on its own, like that's why Shaper Box is really good, because you could fuck with the volume and the filter, and it gives it a pulsating kind of weird thing in it, and it creates a bounce. And just the sample with no drums, it's really great.
I feel like that's an underrated thing that people necessarily don't always understand about when you're making samples. Like, I know a lot of people do understand it, but some may not realize it's like those volume pumping effects are what give your head that nod. There's that pulse there. For me, I wanted Shaper Box, but I can't afford it right now. So in Ableton, I just use sidechain compression, and I just make like, I'll choose like, it's kind of, in a way, I found a way to make it not necessarily better, but my own take on Shaper Box, where you can program the pattern that you want to sidechain. So the pulse, instead of it just necessarily being quarter notes or eighth notes, maybe it'll be like boom, 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 boom. And it has
That's
this
actually a
different
fire
pulse.
idea, to like sidechain it to a kick that exists already, and then you could just mute the kick, and then
That's literally what I do. That's literally what I do. Yeah, it's just different.
That's a fire idea.
I had to find a way to get that volume pulse without buying Shaper Box. So I was like, let me use just like a hi-hat sound, and I'll just program the pattern, sidechain it to that, and get my own unique bounce.
Crazy.
Yeah, man. Sharing the tips, bro. We got to. That's how we all win.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you play all the instruments that you hear in your pack, or is it like mostly programmed?
I'll play like I play around with things. Like I played guitar in like 6th grade, so I know how to like do licks and stuff like that. And like piano, it's like I know how to move around on it, but I'm not like a session player. Like people always think I'm a session player, like because my samples. I'm like, dude, like no, like, or they be like send loops for Yeet. I'm like, have you heard my samples? Think I make Yeet samples?
No.
No, but yeah. So yeah, I just kind of mess around. It's a lot of processing when it comes to doing live instruments. It's a lot of like cut, edit, copy, pasting, stuff like that.
Definitely. What are some of your favorite effects to use to transform or reshape a sound? We kind of touched on it a little bit, but is there like a certain thing you love to like, pitch alter or anything like that?
Yeah, like wave sound shifter is really great to throw on the master once you're done with the sample. I like to like save it like as like, okay, this is the icing on the cake.
Yes.
Pitch it up, sometimes I'll pitch it up 5 even. I'm like, this is insane. And it gives a new feel. I've got pedals and stuff that I run through that are great. Like I got the Cooper Effects arcades.
So good.
Yeah, it's fire. I got the shallow water Fairfield Circuitry. I think that's the company. That's like RC. That's like RC20 or like cassette in a pedal, pretty much.
Do you have you ever used the Digitech whammy pitch shifting pedal? It's like a big red pedal.
Yeah, my brother has that pedal, and I fuck with it a lot. That shit's crazy.
I love it because you can like put your heel or toe down, and it'll like drop it an octave or 2 octaves like live.
Yeah, it's sick. I like if you do it on like roads, sounds crazy.
100%. I'll sometimes bounce a sample to a cassette tape, and then I'll run the cassette tape out through the Digitech pitch shifting pedal, and then I'll pitch it like down or up octaves direct from the tape back into the DAW.
Damn, I gotta hear that shit. That shit sounds fire.
Yeah, just creating, just trying shit, man.
Yeah, it's just all about just like what, like there's no like this is this. this is how you do this. It's all just like, let me plug this shit in here and we'll see how it sounds.
That's what I do, man. 100%.
At least, at least for me, that's what works for me. It's like, it's a little more time consuming because you're experimenting. So it's not going to be on the fly, Mm-hmm. Once you figure things out, it'll be more quicker. But like, as far as like experimenting, like you just gotta just fucking go in your plugin list and try everything and see what the fuck happens.
Yep, I agree. What is some secret sauce that you wish you had known earlier on when you started making music?
Like technically or like in like the industry?
Either or both.
That's a good one. Let me think. Secret sauce is that like you gotta like work really hard. Things aren't just gonna come to you.
No.
You gotta like put out content. You gotta reach out to people in the DM constantly. You gotta follow up with these people, text people, build real relationships with people. Like, hey bro, like it's not just, hey bro, I sent you a pack. Okay, bet. And not here and not,
not touch base with them again after that.
And not touch base for another month when you want to release another pack. Yo, bro. Like you got to build, especially with good people, like people who are like kind of on the same wave and frequency as you. You got to like build these relationships. It's like things don't happen overnight.
No.
Like things like takes time. It's like you're building, you got to build a foundation and a brand for yourself. Like you got to put out content. You got to reach out to people. You got to do shit for free. You got to put in that work, like to actually, build, like I said, the foundation or the following. And like, I guess, yeah, that's one thing that I wish I would have known was like, when I was starting out, just to put out more content without it. It's like, oh, does this look cool? Or it's like, who cares? Like people aren't gonna remember that shit in an hour.
Yeah, man. Like it's the quality and the strength of your relationships that you build early on that'll lead you to a big quantity in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All right. Well, we'll move on to my final 5. These will be, 5 questions. They can be one sentence or one word. They don't have to be very long if you don't want them to be. But if you do feel like going into more detail, you totally can.
Okay.
What is something you wish more people did in their music?
Be unique.
Definitely. Where do you see music going in the next 5 years?
That's funny because there's this meme of a it says rap in 2065 and it's just a pitched up voice with hella tune on it and it's just like offbeat. So you definitely that vibe for sure.
Definitely. What would you say is the best way for a sample maker to improve their samples?
Just be unique. Like we already have a Frank Dukes, like how Josh was telling me, Josh over at Kingsway, he was like, dude, we already have a Frank Dukes, like dive in something else.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bet.
Take risks.
Like take risks, like listen to different music. Like, I don't know, like everything doesn't have to have RC20 on it,
Yeah.
Like shit could be clean. Like samples could be clean. Samples don't have to be vintage or dirty or samples. Like I want to do futuristic samples.
Yeah.
I don't want to do 70s style samples. I want to do like what's next? Like what's around the corner from this? Like you want to be ahead of the curve, not like late to the party.
Perfectly well said. I love that. What is the worst advice you've ever received?
Oh, there's so many. I got so much worse. I got a lot of bad advice like coming up, like that, like I don't know how to articulate it in words. It's just like people are gonna like try to manipulate you and be like, you have to be doing this. And it's like, no, like you are your own person. If it doesn't feel good here, then it's not good for you.
I agree. It's like
And
the old quote where they say, "Don't judge a fish on his ability to fly."
yeah, man. Like, and like, it's like, yeah, that's one of the main ones. It's like people are telling you what you should be doing, or it's like the way that I see it, it's like if you don't if someone's telling me how to do things, but they don't have what I want. If you don't have 50 plaques in your house and the baddest wife I've ever seen in my life, then I'm not going to take advice from you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're telling me advice and you have less credentials than me. Like you're insane. Or you have a different credentials that I don't even care about. Like you're a dentist. Like why should I be listening to you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I remember just recently, I feel like that's something I've really come to realize in the past like few years is while people do have an opinion or advice, like really only listen to the ones that are credible. Don't just listen to everybody.
For sure. That's that's another piece of advice that I would definitely give to people starting out. That's like, you know, do what you want to do and like it's gonna stick if it's real. It's gonna take time. Like people got to understand it's gonna take time, but if it's authentic, it's gonna stick for sure.
I agree. And my last question for you is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
That's a very good question. There's a lot. Just staying in your own lane. Just do you. Like make things work for you. Don't like work for things.
Perfectly well said. Perfectly
You know
well
what I'm saying?
said. Yeah, man. That's a beautiful sentiment, and I'm happy that that's the quote where we end on with that right there.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake? Was it beautiful quote? It was a Shakespeare.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
He said it's beautiful.
We got the cosign from Jake, so we know it's meaningful.
Locked in.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time to chat with me today, man. Like I really
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I hope to check in with you maybe in a year from now, see where everything's at, you know, see how raising the baby's going, you know, like just I'm excited
man.
to see your potential, and I really truly believe in you as a human, as an artist, as a sample maker. Like you're doing all the right stuff, and I'm excited to see you succeed.
Appreciate that, man. It means a lot.